Hey guys, okay, the purpose of this video is to go over some of the questions that you might have regarding using credit testers as a pre-approval service for your borrowers. So let's go over a few of the common questions that lenders have, and if you have any additional questions, you can also message me and I'm happy to answer anything that might come up. So first and foremost, I think the biggest question that people have is about credit scores. Now, credit scores can be extremely confusing. Everywhere you go to pull the credit scores, they're different. Obviously, you're needing a mortgage score, and that's the primary score that you're going to be using. But for us, we don't have access to that without pulling it through a mortgage company. There is one website that I know of that has access to the mortgage score, and that's myfico.com. It is rather pricey to obtain that score, so the majority of people don't want to spend the money for that. What we tend to use most of the time is Credit Karma. And I know a lot of people hate on Credit Karma. I get it because, the scores are not accurate. But to be honest, they're not accurate anywhere, because even if you're pulling off the Experian site directly, you're still getting an Experian consumer score. It's still different than the mortgage score. So it doesn't matter where you pull. Any scores that you generate online outside of, a credit pull through a mortgage company or a banking institution is going to give a consumer credit score, which is not going to be the same as the mortgage score. Bottom line, we have tracked this. We've used Credit Karma for over a decade, and so most people are going to fall right around 40 points lower on the banking side than they are on Credit Karma. So, for instance, if Credit Karma is showing a 600 credit score, then that mortgage score is probably going to be somewhere around 560. It's not the same for everyone. There are exceptions, but as a general rule, that's kind of where it is. So when we are pre-approving our borrowers, we're not just looking at the credit score. So it's not quite that simple. We're going to look at 3 key areas, and this is what we go over with every customer that you send us. We do a free credit consultation, and during that consultation, we lay out for them everything that's listed on their credit report that's affecting their scores. I mean, we go line by line, which sounds like a lot, but we get through the entire process in 20 minutes. It's very quick. It's very concise. We get right to the point with them. So there's 3 primary areas that we're looking at. First and foremost, of course, is credit score. We'll go over those score differences with the pre-approved, a potential pre-approved borrower, and just explain the differences and what we're looking for. And the second thing that we look at is their payment history. And of course, when it comes to time frame, a lot of times that's determined almost completely by their payment history. Not always, but in a lot of cases. So if they already have credit established, then their payment history is going to really do a lot to determine how long it's going to take to get them to the closing table. So we look at that with them, and we go over the requirements based on that. And as a general rule, we use 12 months as a baseline. So they have to have 12 months of on-time payments. If there's 1 late payment, 2 late payments that are kind of scattered here and there, typically we let them know that lenders can make an exception, or the underwriter can make an exception on those if everything otherwise looks good. So, but if they're late on their car payment for the last 6 months, they got some waiting time. Third area we look at is collections. Collections is a big topic. It can be very complicated, as you know. So one of the things we do with the borrower is we go through with them which collections are important and which ones aren't, because most people just don't know that information. So we get calls all the time with people who are freaking out about medical collections, and they don't realize that nobody cares. So those are some things that we can step them through. So as we go through the pre-approval process with your borrower, we're not just looking at credit score, we're not just looking at payment history, and we're not just looking at collections. We're looking at all 3 and how those fit together. And so typically when we see markers that all line up, we know, okay, even if we're not 100% on what the credit score is, we know that these markers are met, so they're probably ready for financing. Or even if they have most of the markers met, but there might be like a little, kind of not sure, there might be 1 or 2 things that could be adjusted, then we will definitely let you know that, so that, if there's even at the potential that they might pre-qualify right now, you could go ahead and pull a bureau and check those for the ones that are close. But what we don't want you to do is be spending tons of money pulling credit reports on people that are just not pre-qualified yet. Even if their scores are ready, if they have late payments, they have 4 late payments on their car in the past year, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to get them to the closing table anyway. So again, looking at all those markers is very important, and that's something that we can do very quickly. most of the time when I look at a credit report, I can tell within 3 minutes whether they're going to pre-qualify or not. So our process is very quick, very efficient. And if they need extensive work, then I'm going to go ahead and pitch them to like, hey, get in the program. Let's get started on this, and let's look at the time frame that it's going to take to get you pre-approved. So bottom line, when you have a borrower that you're not sure they're going to pre-qualify, what we ask is you go ahead and submit their information to us. Of course, let them know that you're going to be sending them to your pre-qual team, and then we will reach out to them. We try to reach out to them within 24 hours. To be honest, most of the time, if you send them to us, we're messaging them within minutes. So we're pretty fast on that. So we'll get right with them. We'll set up a consultation, which is free for them. We try to get those scheduled right away. And then we go through that process of going over the credit report with them and looking at those markers and then putting together a plan. Once we have completed that phone call, then we will get back to you with a report. And that report is going to show you either, hey, we think they're ready for pre-qualification right now, and here are all the markers and where they fall. And then you can go ahead and get that process completed. If we think that they're going to require an additional amount of work, we'll go ahead and let you know that they have signed up with us and give you our estimate as far as time frame on how long it's going to take and which markers need to be met in order for that to happen. So that's kind of the process of how that works. Once they get started with us, we will send you updates on everything. So for instance, when they start with us, we're going to send them an initial credit evaluation. And that credit evaluation is going to show you exactly what we're going to be working on, what issues need to be addressed, where their credit scores are now, how far we need to get them in order to pre-qualify, and what our estimate on time frame is. So you'll get a copy of that. You also will see what we're asking them to work on. So coaching is a big part of our program. So we're going to have specific things for them to be doing throughout the process. And we do prioritize those based on what's going to get them to the closing table the fastest. So you'll be able to see exactly what they're supposed to be working on. And that can be great accountability. You know, if you want to do check-ins, our most successful lenders do check-ins every 45 days right alongside me. So when you get that notice that we've sent them their update, if you just reach out to them and say, hey, great update, we see that these things have fallen off, we see that you've accomplished your goal this month, be sure to check out Laura's coaching instructions for the next month. You're doing awesome, we're on your team, and we're so excited about getting you pre-qualified soon. So messages like that can go a long way in making sure that the borrower does not jump ship and go somewhere else. And that's something that we have at top of mind throughout this process, is we want to make sure that the borrower gets back to you and that they stay loyal to you during this process. And they know that we're working together. So we reiterate that frequently with them, so that way they know that we're not just separate entities here. We're a team working together, and we both want the same thing to get them to the closing table. So reach out to them and just give them those reassurances and encouragement to continue moving forward, that, you know, they're getting close to their goal, etc. Okay, so that's every 45 days. Once they're ready for financing, I will notify them. I will notify you. So we'll go ahead and just let you know. I record videos a lot. So what I'll do is I'll record a video and I'll say, hey, look, I think your credit's looking great. You've accomplished all your goals. Great job. I think it's time to go ahead and get pre-qualified. And so I'll mention you in that video and just say, you know, hey, Justin, hey, Mary, or whoever. You know, I think it's a good time to go ahead and get with your borrower, and let's get this going. Let me know how it goes, and then let me know if you do in fact get a pre-approval or if more work is needed. So we'll work hand in hand together throughout this process to make sure that it happens. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. If you have any additional, let me know. I can always jump on a call with you and go over it. And I'm so excited at working with you and your borrowers to make you more money and get more loans closed.